This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to today's Sports Roundup. We are diving into a massive weekend of championship boxing, high-stakes NBA and NHL playoff action, and a historic milestone in collegiate baseball that you won't want to miss.
Inoue defends his undisputed crown against Junto Nakatani.
R.J. Barrett hits a cinematic buzzer beater for Toronto.
LeBron James powers the Lakers past the Rockets.
Gage Gonçalves forces Game 7 for the Lightning.
The Sabres reached the second round after 18 years.
Olivia Pichardo makes history on the Division I mound.
Caitlin Clark returns to a loaded Indiana Fever squad.
Bob Baffert brings 2 new contenders to the Derby.
First, the Tokyo Dome Showdown. The boxing world is focused on Tokyo, as Naoya Inoue, the pound-for-pound king, prepares to defend his undisputed super bantamweight championship against Junto Nakatani. This fight is being billed simply as the day, and for good reason. Inoue is currently 32-0 with 27 knockouts, and he has been absolutely dominant at 122 pounds. He is putting all 4 major belts on the line for the 7th time. Facing him is Nakatani, a fellow undefeated Japanese superstar who is moving up in weight after a terrifying run at bantamweight, where he knocked out 5 consecutive opponents in title fights. It is a rare clash between 2 fighters at the absolute peak of their powers, and with 55,000 fans expected at the Tokyo Dome, the atmosphere will be electric for this historic domestic rivalry.
What makes this matchup so compelling is the contrast in their recent paths. While Inoue has been clinical, Nakatani is coming off a very tough super bantamweight debut against Sebastian Hernandez, where he barely escaped with a points win. However, that struggle might have been the wake-up call he needed before facing a legend like Inoue. At 28 years old, Nakatani is looking to become a 4-weight world champion, while the 33-year-old Inoue is trying to cement his legacy as perhaps the greatest Japanese fighter of all time. The undercard is also stacked with talent, including Takuma Inoue defending his WBC bantamweight title against Kazuto Ioka. For fans in the West, it is an early start on DAZN, but for a fight of this magnitude, it is well worth the wake-up call to see who truly rules the division.
Now to the NBA playoffs. In the NBA, R.J. Barrett just provided a moment that will be replayed in Toronto for decades. With the clock winding down in overtime against the Cleveland Cavaliers, Barrett received a pass from Scotty Barnes at the top of the key and launched a deep three-pointer. The ball hit the rim and bounced incredibly high, hanging in the air for what felt like an eternity. By the time it finally dropped through the net, so much time had elapsed that Cleveland had virtually no chance to respond. It was a true Hollywood ending for the hometown kid from Mississauga. Barrett has faced plenty of criticism over the years regarding his outside shooting consistency, but this shot was the culmination of years of hard work in the gym. It was not just a lucky bounce, it was a testament to his growth as a clutch performer.
The reaction in Toronto has been nothing short of euphoric, with fans already calling it the shot. Seeing Barrett succeed on this stage is particularly meaningful because of his local roots. He grew up just outside the city, and delivering a playoff masterpiece in front of his friends and family adds a layer of emotion that you rarely see. The social media response, often referred to as Twitter gold, has been flooded with different angles of that high-arching bounce. It highlights how far he has come since his early days in the league, when scouts doubted his perimeter game. This performance against a tough Cleveland defense proves that Barrett can be the primary engine for the Raptors when the pressure is at its highest. It is a career-defining moment that officially carves his name into the franchise's postseason history books.
Next, LeBron's latest masterclass. LeBron James continues to defy Father Time, leading the Los Angeles Lakers to a dominant 9-8, 7-8 victory over the Houston Rockets to close out their first-round series, 4-2. After the Lakers saw a commanding 3-0 lead shrink to 3-2, there were whispers of a potential collapse. LeBron silenced those doubts by taking over in the second quarter, outscoring the entire Rockets team 1-4. 1-3 during that stretch. He finished the night with 28 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds, showing a level of purpose and leadership that has defined his 23-year career. With key teammates like Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves dealing with significant injuries, James has had to act as an extension of the coaching staff on the floor. He noted after the game that his teammates have fully embraced his command, allowing him to navigate them through this high-pressure environment.
The Lakers' supporting cast also stepped up when it mattered most. Rui Hachimura was spectacular, contributing 21 points and hitting 5 of his 7 attempts from beyond the arc. His scoring punch allowed the Lakers to build a massive 25-point lead in the third quarter, effectively ending any hope of a Houston comeback. Austin Reeves also showed grit by starting and contributing 15 points despite his oblique injury. This win sets up a massive second-round clash against the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder. The Lakers will need this version of LeBron to continue if they want to upset the top-seeded Thunder, especially given the health concerns surrounding their roster. James proved on Friday night that when the stakes are highest, he still has the ability to dictate the terms of a game and carry his team across the finish line with veteran composure.
Moving to the ice, the NHL playoffs delivered a defensive masterclass in Montreal as the Tampa Bay Lightning edged out the Canadiens 1-0 in overtime. Gage Goncalves was the hero of the night, scoring off his own rebound 9 minutes into the extra period. This goal was especially dramatic because it came right after the Lightning successfully killed off a tripping penalty by their star scorer Nikita Kucherov. Andrei Vasilevsky was a brick wall in net, making 30 saves to keep Tampa Bay's season alive. This victory forces a decisive Game 7 back in Tampa this Sunday. The Lightning are desperate to avoid their 4th consecutive first-round exit, while the Canadiens are looking for their first series win in 5 years. With the first 3 games of this series also going to overtime, fans should expect another incredibly tight and nervous battle in the finale.
Elsewhere in the league, the Vegas Golden Knights finished off the Utah Mammoth with a 5-1 victory in Game 6. Mitch Marner was the standout performer, tallying 2 goals and an assist to help Vegas advance to the second round, where they will face the Anaheim Ducks. The Golden Knights have been on a tear since John Tortorella took over the coaching duties, finishing the regular season with a strong run and carrying that momentum directly into the playoffs. Marner ended the series with 7 total points, proving to be the offensive engine Vegas needed. Meanwhile, the Mammoth led in the third period of every single one of the first 5 games, but simply couldn't close the door when it counted. Vegas now looks like a serious contender with their rejuvenated energy and disciplined play, under Tortorella's strict but effective system.
Now, Buffalo's big breakthrough. The Buffalo Sabres have finally ended a nearly 2-decade drought, defeating the Boston Bruins 4-1 in Game 6 to advance to the second round for the first time since 2007. It was a clinical performance from start to finish, with Alex Tuch and Matthias Samuelsson finding the back of the net in the first period to set the tone. Zach Benson added a crucial insurance goal early in the third, and Josh Norris sealed the deal with an empty netter. Goaltender Alex Lyon was steady throughout, making 25 saves to frustrate a Bruins team that has now lost 6 consecutive home playoff games. For the Sabres, this victory is a massive milestone after a 14-year playoff absence. They captured the Atlantic Division title this year, and this series win proves that their regular season success was no fluke as they move forward.
The game was not without its fireworks, as tempers flared in the final minutes. A tripping call on Zach Benson led to a retaliation slash from Boston's Charlie McAvoy, sending both players to the box and highlighting the physical intensity of the series. Despite the late-game friction, Buffalo remained composed to secure the win. They now await the winner of the Tampa Bay and Montreal series for their second-round matchup. For the Bruins, this is a disappointing end to Marco Sturm's first season as head coach, especially after they fought so hard just to earn a playoff berth. Buffalo, on the other hand, looks like a team with the depth and confidence to make a deep run. Their fans have waited a long time for this moment, and the energy in the city is reaching a fever pitch as the second round approaches.
Next, a historic debut. History was made on the baseball diamond as Olivia Pichardo took the mound for Brown University, becoming the first woman to play NCAA Division I baseball. In a high-stakes game against Cornell, Pichardo entered in the 9th inning and faced one batter. She showed incredible composure, getting the hitter to ground out to shortstop for the final out of the game. This was not just a ceremonial appearance. Pichardo earned her spot on the roster through sheer talent with a fastball that tops 80 miles per hour. She has already represented the United States on 3 women's national baseball teams and made her collegiate debut as a hitter back in 2023. Standing on that 10-inch mound, she stood eye-to-eye with some of the best players in the Ivy League, proving that she belongs at the highest level of collegiate sports.
While other women have played collegiate baseball at lower divisions in the past, Pichardo's achievement at the Division I level is a massive breakthrough. She has stated that her primary goal is not necessarily to be a pioneer, but rather to play the game she loves at the highest possible level. However, she acknowledges that her presence on the field opens doors for future generations of female ballplayers who dream of competing on men's teams. Her success is a result of years of grinding and refining her craft, and her performance against Cornell was the perfect validation of that effort. The roar from the crowd when she recorded that final out signaled a shift in the sports landscape. Pichardo is not just a story of inclusion, she is a story of elite athletic performance that happens to be breaking barriers along the way.
Shifting to the WNBA, expectations are sky-high for the Indiana Fever, as Caitlin Clark returns to a roster that looks ready to contend for a title. Last season, the Fever surprised many by pushing the Las Vegas Aces to 5 games in the semifinals, even with Clark missing most of the year due to injury. Now that she is healthy and rested, oddsmakers have set the Fever's win total at 30.5, which is tied for the second highest in the league. This projection reflects the incredible talent surrounding Clark, including stars like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. The team did lose some depth in free agency and the expansion draft, but they countered those losses by signing veterans Monique Billings and Miesha Hines-Allen. They also added Raven Johnson in the draft, signaling a clear focus on surrounding their core with elite shooting and defensive versatility.
The Fever will certainly face a challenge this year, as the increased media attention surrounding Clark means they will get every opponent's best shot. However, the chemistry built by Mitchell and Boston during last year's playoff run provides a solid foundation. Coach Stephanie White has a roster that can compete with anyone, and the projected starting lineup is one of the most balanced in the WNBA. With a 44-game schedule, there is little room for error, but the Fever are expected to be favored in the majority of their matchups. If Clark can maintain the pace she showed in her limited appearances last year, Indiana could easily find themselves at the top of the standings. The excitement in Indianapolis is palpable, as fans anticipate a season where the Fever are no longer just a young team with potential, but a legitimate powerhouse.
Finally, the Kentucky Derby. The Kentucky Derby is approaching, and all eyes are on the return of controversial trainer Bob Baffert. After serving a 3-year suspension following the Medina Spirit drug test scandal, Baffert is back for his second year of eligibility with 2 strong contenders, Litmus Test and Potente. Baffert is currently tied for the most Derby wins of all time with 6, and he is looking to reclaim his spot at the top of the sport. Litmus Test is a bit of an enigma, sired by the 2016 champion Nyquist, and recently won a Grade 2 stakes race at Los Alamitos. Potente, on the other hand, comes in with slightly better odds and a history of winning under pressure, including a victory on a fast dirt track where he won by a head. Both horses represent Baffert's chance to move past the controversies of the last few years.
Baffert's return adds a layer of drama to the run for the roses that only he can provide. While his 2025 performance was underwhelming, with his lone horse finishing near the back of the pack, the pedigree of Litmus Test and Potente suggests a much stronger showing this time around. Potente has already earned over $260,000 in his short career and has shown he can handle the distance. However, they will both have to face off against Renegade, who enters the race as the heavy favorite. The history of the Derby is filled with upsets, and Baffert knows better than anyone how to prepare a horse for the unique pressure of Churchill Downs. Whether you are rooting for him or against him, his presence on the backstretch ensures that this year's race will be one of the most talked-about events in recent memory.
That wraps up our sports briefing for today. Be sure to follow the show for your next daily update on the biggest stories in the world of sports.